Hello and welcome to the Big Bang Theory podcast. My name is John. I'm here with my friend and colleague Dan.
Hello.
Hello. We're back after City came away from Colchester United, Col U, the JobServe Community Stadium, with a delicious 2-1 win.
Yep. Pretty straightforward.
Wasn't it?
Without the big man.
The big man was absent, didn't travel, snoozing probably.
Well, why would you?
Why would you not snooze and not travel?
Well, in a way, maybe you should be made to travel because, he was sent off for why does he get a little holiday?
Maybe he has to stay at home and, do homework.
Yeah.
He's had to give the change rooms a lick of paint or...
I hope so.
I
don't care. I hope he doesn't have to do that. And you get fined anyway, don't you, for red cards?
Yeah,
so
you do.
He would have got an FA fine. I'm sure that's hitting.
But it didn't matter what
wallet.
Bowman was up to because the boys that did travel put on a tremendously straightforward display, wasn't it?
Yeah, well, pretty much, yeah.
Our greatest potential pitfall, literally, was that awful pitch.
It was quite bad, wasn't it? I don't think ours is much better.
No, maybe not.
It looked bad, didn't it, because of the sand, I think.
It kept stopping, didn't it? Did you notice that? A few times Wilmot's gentle nudges into the path of Jay were...
It reminded me of that same thing happening at St James's Park last season where they've got a kind of bad bit, right, where our bad bit is, haven't they? And I remember Sweeney sort of getting the ball stuck there,
Yeah.
Not his fault,
So, it didn't matter. City...
Yeah, so 2-1.
2-1. So we'd already had a goal disallowed, hadn't we? About 15 minutes in, 10 minutes in?
Yeah, lovely header. Well, let's talk about who's playing first.
Oh, all right.
So Bowman's out and Hartridge is out. So neither of them two could play. So up front, we start with the little fella, Ben Seymour, number 9, who gets his chance. Taylor basically told us that this was going to happen, but I was wondering whether that might mean, it was Fisher and Seymour in perhaps out wide or alongside him or something, but no, he was the focal point in very much the Bowman role, wasn't he?
Certainly the Bowman position, yeah.
And then Wilmot back.
Yep.
Joel Randall back starting.
Yep.
And then the rest is pretty much Lewis Page back as well.
Lewis Page, and looking good.
Oh, always looking
Were
good.
you worried when he got injured?
Yeah, I was thinking, there we go again, old polystyrene Page.
I was like, oh, it's only his head, thank goodness.
Yeah. But nah, yeah, he's great. He's back in, and but I thought it was a pretty good team actually. I mean, the interesting thing was obviously how we play without the big man.
Yeah.
And the answer was, to be honest, kind of the same.
Yeah.
We didn't change too much, did we? We're still kind of playing the odd long ball, which. They didn't work too well, although
there weren't that many of them, though, were there?
No, and it did encourage us to get it down, I think, and play through the middle. Getting Collins on the ball is important when that's going to be the case. And I'm not sure every team would make it as easy for us as Colchester did.
No.
Sometimes you come up against harder kind of teams who are going to sit back and get behind the ball, and it's going to be harder to play like that, and that's when you need a kind of taller kind of outlet. But I think Seymour led the line pretty well first half, especially the ball into his feet back to goal. I think it was really good.
Yep.
And like I said, we came to it wasn't long before we had a goal disallowed. Matt J, lovely looping header.
It was really good header, wasn't it?
It was definitely off. You know how I follow it. There's only one camera, so you can never really tell for sure.
He was definitely waiting when no one else was around him, wasn't he?
It looked, I think it's safe to say it, since Lino's got that one right. But it's a decent ball in from
was that Wilmot?
Gary Wilmot, and I thought there was a lot of that from him as well. He's a very confident crosser. He very much I think with the rest of our lot, they know that they can do it sometimes, and other times they're going to balloon it out the other side. So they never seem that confident themselves. Whereas he just seems like, I'm great at crossing.
I think he's been an excellent
straight away.
On the first things we've seen of him, I think he's been an excellent purchase, excellent loan signing.
Oh yeah, me too. I think it looks like that's a very good little addition, doesn't it?
It does. So you're right. So Jay had a goal disallowed. Actually, it wasn't too much longer just before half an hour. Josh Key, I was feeling like, you got to shoot here, Josh. You got to shoot.
Oh, me too. I was screaming at him to shoot.
Doesn't. Plays a ball across the back of the 6-yard line. Yeah. And, you've got to be disappointed if you're Colchester. But Wilmot gets to it.
Well, it's a lovely bit of play, and
A
that
really good
involved
pass,
Ben
wasn't it?
Seymour as well. Do you know what I mean? And
Yep.
it was like, I think it was Collins or Jay through to Seymour, a lovely little 1-2, and then maybe the 1-2 came before, and then Seymour laid it to Key instead of blasting it, which was desperate for him to do. He played the simple square ball tap in for Gary's first goal for the Grecians.
Yeah, very nice to see. Of course, it was our old mate Dean Gherkin in goal, and got himself into a bit of a pickle on a few occasions. But yeah, that was great to see from Wilmot.
I gotta go back to the previous Colchester episodes and see if you've made that joke before. In fact, I reckon you just got it out of your notes from last time.
I honestly can't remember, but it seems likely I would have made that
Far be
joke.
it from us to repeat a gag.
Yeah, would we? Surely we'd never do that. Good news is we've got a new one for later. And then half time comes and you feel like, yep, this is solid. Colchester had a chance just towards half time, didn't they? A corner. And the header went just wide, didn't it?
That's right, yeah.
But apart from that, they hadn't really shown very much at all.
No.
Nublé looks a shadow of the player that he was when we played him in the playoffs.
What happened to him? So he played for Colchester last season and he went to Argyle in the summer.
Argyle have signed him. Argyle own him, and they've loaned him back to Colchester.
Because he was no good at Argyle, was he?
I'm assuming so. I mean, also Argyle brought in a lot of people, didn't they? So
right.
But yeah, so he's come back. I mean, he's a man who's played at a lot of clubs. I think we definitely talked about that last time. He's had like 11 or 12 professional clubs, and he's not 30 yet. So I don't know if he struggles to settle in or what. But yeah, so they just really didn't look like the same team. And actually, very helpful comparison for us. They've got a lot of financial problems this year. They've had to sell. They've had to readjust. City, obviously, we were absolute playoff rivals last year. We've pushed on, or certainly maintained the same level, and they've
what's going on with them? I don't really understand. They were saying all about this.
I think it's to do with the owner. So it's very much an owner who invests in the club, and his business, whatever that is, has I don't know if he's job serve. I don't know if that's his business, but whatever it is has really suffered because of the pandemic. So he just can't invest the cash.
Isn't it something like this? Didn't they have a kind of scoreboard that was? They mentioned something about the scoreboard.
Yeah, which I couldn't see.
No,
the commentator was saying that.
They flogged it or something, or it's broken and they can't. I don't know.
I don't know. Yeah, I mean, just get someone with the cricket scores. You know, ask if you can borrow Colchester's cricket club's.
I've seen people sort of said, "Well, like I don't really get the." I don't know if they've got one, but that kind of big screen jobby. I get it if you're in like a big, but people seem to want. I've seen people suggest they want one of them at St James's Park.
Really?
Yeah, and I think like, I know our crappy sort of glorified calculator one doesn't really work ever, but like,
I think that's besmirching the good name of the calculator there.
I don't know if I want one of those big screens.
No, I mean I don't really see the point because they can't really show much, can they? During the game,
you can put the lineups on there at the start, can't you? Maybe it's useful. You know, it'd just be used for advertising.
Yeah, I mean. Taggy's obviously rubbing his hands together at the thought.
Speaking of Taggy, I've literally just seen him on the way here.
Have you?
Yeah.
Was he carrying something under a large cloth that looked like it might have been an electronic scoreboard?
No, he wasn't. He was wearing a pair of joggers and a sort of luminous coat.
Was he?
But not like a high vis, like, well, it was high vis, but like not, more kind of one, like he's been for a jog and he doesn't want to get hit by a car, you know?
Okay, well, fair enough.
Not that he's like, sort of working for South West Water.
Okay. Did you chat to him?
He doesn't know who I am, so no.
Do you think he cares how much airtime's been given to him on here? Right? He's not pleased.
No, I don't think he cares.
No, right, fair enough. Anyway,
he probably
back to
wants
the game.
more.
Hey?
He probably would want more.
Yeah, he doesn't want it if it's not electronic. So
this is electronic. This is very electronic.
Fair point. So halftime came and went, and it felt comfortable, didn't it? And then they picked up a bit, didn't they? Beginning of the second half, Colchester. They had a bit more intent about them, but very little penetration.
No, I thought they were kind of like, you know, they've got a bit of pace on the wings, haven't they? And then that's the same first half and the second half. That's kind of they use a bit of that. They're kind of up against our, you know, gave our fullbacks a little bit of something to think about a couple of times. A few balls into the box, nothing to really worry about.
Again, brilliant from Anderson. He just comes, doesn't he, for the ball? He just thinks I can get that ball, and he comes for it. And was it a first half free kick? I think it was, and it was a perfectly good ball into the box. And I was thinking like, this is the kind of thing we struggle with. And then just Anderson just right over the top, bosh, absolutely no fear, no problem. He just dealt with it, didn't he?
Yeah, love him for that. His kicking, obviously, this is the everything everyone talks about. Even the manager said it publicly that he's.
I think he said it as well, hasn't he?
Everyone knows,
Anderson?
yeah, I think.
Yeah.
And sometimes when he's on his right, he's a left-footed player in here. Sometimes when he has to kick out on his right foot, it's like,
Yeah.
But when he get one of those ones that's kind of, he sort of hits it really low and it sort of barely makes it to the halfway line. You're like, who's this going to?
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, whatever. I'd much rather, it's a trade-off, isn't it? And I'd take it.
Absolutely a trade-off and one well worth making at the minute. So he looked very confident. So 64 minutes, Matt Taylor called it a goal made in the academy. Josh Key on the right wing. He looked excellent, didn't he, as well? Josh Key back to maybe his best.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, definitely. I mean, we were talking about him just before this happened, weren't we? About how good he'd been.
Yeah.
He's given there. I guess he was kind of supposed to be fullback, really, wasn't he? With Wilmot in front of him.
I guess so.
But I guess with he's allowed to overlap, and I'm glad, and obviously he did, and kept doing it, especially in the second half. Giving their fullback a terrible time, turning him inside out. Did it this time. A lot of good balls into the box from Key as well, and Seymour finally.
Lovely front post header, wasn't it? And
yeah.
I said this to you, and I stand by this. Bowman wouldn't have headed that any better. In fact, that's the kind of thing you think Bowman should do well.
I don't think I've ever... or maybe not, I wouldn't say ever. Bowman is not one for the near post header, is he?
No. He's barely one for the header.
No. And he's got plenty of other,
Yeah. I just thought it was such a well-worked goal.
Yeah.
Like, we've wondered, haven't we, all of us, I think, what Ben Seymour's strengths are, and actually we're starting to see them. Back to the goal. He's strong with that. He's got good ideas.
I think the one area where he's kind of needs to improve a little bit is his movement when we've got the ball on the ground and he's not got his back to goal, making those little runs in behind. There's a couple of times in the second half where he really could have made himself available if he'd made the right run, and Matt J ended up having a kind of shot from distance because he wasn't being given an option, and both of them kind of didn't come into much, but yeah, and there was one just before where he didn't make the run to the front post, and it was like, and then but then that one it was the perfect timed run, perfect header, brilliant goal, and I really hope that's the start of. You can't ask for much more. The first choice striker's out. He comes in. You got to take his chance. He does. Yeah,
absolutely. I'm sure he'll feel better about it all.
Yeah.
I'm sure Taylor will feel more confident. I think Taylor's obviously got a lot of faith in him anyway, but I think...
he loves him clearly, doesn't he?
Yeah.
He wouldn't be giving him this much,
no.
And I think he basically said he's not going to play 90 minutes in the next game as well, didn't he? Matt Taylor afterwards. And I think that was kind of like, he's rewarding him for his hard work and his patience and for getting his goal by giving him the full game. But I think probably we'll see Fisher, probably a bit more of Fisher in the next game. Whether he starts or not, I don't know, but...
Maybe.
We'll definitely see. I'm not saying Seymour won't play. He definitely will, but...
So that was 2-0. No, I was thinking, that's a stroll to the finish line now. But then
it looked like that, didn't it? It looked like, we just need one more here and we'll be good.
But we managed to concede within, it was 2 minutes.
What was it? Was it that long?
Well,
it seemed immediate.
It did seem immediate.
And it was a sloppy goal.
Taylor said he didn't really know where it came from, and I'm kind of inclined to agree. We just didn't pick up.
Well, we very much switched off. That's exactly where it came from. We were just like, that's what the players obviously thought. There we go, easy.
As we all did.
Yeah, but you can't.
It's easier for me to think it's easy while I'm sat on the sofa, isn't it?
You've got to keep your head in the game, and I think that's all it was that we just didn't do that. Josh Key, you could maybe criticise for that goal, but I'd be reluctant to because of how well he played going forward, and also due to the fact that he had the shits.
I mean,
Matt Taylor revealed. I feel a bit sorry for him.
Matt Taylor, I mean, really,
he's been on the toilet all day. He's on the toilet now.
Dicky tummy. I mean, he doesn't mind a bit of detail, does he, Matt?
He just says he's ill.
Say he's ill.
Key's probably gone off. Thanks.
He's an 18-year-old lad. Yeah. It's gutting, isn't it? I felt for him. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Matt Taylor's got a real northern bluntness to him, hasn't he? That's like...
Yeah, so I suppose that's just, that's what they like up there, isn't it?
Yeah. Probably don't have doors on their bogs.
Stop for fools.
They still have to go down the village plank and crouch over the end to,
Yeah.
fill up the slurry.
That's how it works up there.
That's how it works up there, yeah. So that was...
shit out the window. Runs down the street.
Flipping heck. I mean, I felt bad for him. But yeah, maybe that's the reason. So he came off quite soon after, didn't he, Josh?
Yeah, and as much as we kind of, it's great to play young players, but they all need to improve in other areas as well. You know what I mean? Like, and I think we've always had problems with kind of like letting wingers kind of drift into the box.
I thought you were going to say toilet trouble.
No, I'm fine in that department. Thankfully, touch wood. But with closing down kind of wingers, I don't know. That seems like an issue for me. But.
Yeah, no, I'd agree with that. So we got to 77 minutes. I guess it's a good sign of the strength of our bench at the minute, isn't it? So Caprice came on for Key. He's playing well, isn't he, at the minute? Atangana came on for Jay. Now, I've been slightly concerned about Atangana in the last few games, particularly when he's come on as a sub and then not tracked back. But you were right to say that for Jay, that's quite a different prospect than for Taylor.
Yeah, I mean, we thought when he comes on for Jake Taylor, and this happened in the Newport game as well, didn't it? And like he came on and he looked like the tiredest man out there, and he'd only been out on the pitch for 5 minutes, and I think Nigel on his day is a great player, but yeah, he's not Jake Taylor. He hasn't got that engine or that energy that you need, especially in a fight, which a lot of our games are, and are going to be when they're that close. But yeah, if you're bringing Jay off. And they're bringing Nigel, who's clearly going to drop back a bit, shore things up. Yeah, I actually thought he did really well defensively at Ghana last night. So it's totally the right decision, and just shows really that while he may not be kind of like as quick or
he's not the box to box man, is he?
No, as he used to be, but he's I think that just proves he's still useful.
Yep.
So
also,
nice one, Nige.
Sparks came on for Wilmot. And then, about 5 minutes later, Fisher came on for Randall. So, I mean, Joel Randall's obviously coming back from...
I thought it was made such a difference having Joel Randall back in there. He's such a confident player.
Yeah.
And he just looks like he's enjoying himself. And it made me feel confident and optimistic for the season, actually, just seeing him. And him combining with, Matt J so well throughout the whole time they were on the pitch together. And just, the linking up and back heels. And they just look like they're having fun.
Yeah.
And, Randall's out there... 20-year-old kid or whatever expressing himself and playing brilliantly, and you love to see it, and it's like I hope that continues on beyond this season. But I mean, I wouldn't blame anyone for coming in and buying him, because I genuinely think he could do a job at it definitely looks like he's got the potential to do a job at a higher level than this.
Indeed. No, I think that's right. I really hope we can hang on to him for another season, see him at St James Park properly, all of us see him there. And
well, that's the thing. Well, we went back there, didn't we, for a couple of games?
First time I'd seen him play.
Yeah, and we were just like, oh, wow, because you've watched him so many times on the internet, you feel like these players' game, and you've seen them loads. You're like, oh, that's actually not the first time, because we've seen him last season a bit here and there, and he played in the, whatever it's called, Milk Cup and that, and but it's the first time you'd sort of seen him since he'd arrived,
Yeah. So that was a very useful 3 points. I can give you the league table down, but it's a bit askew because there's some games tonight, so bear with me. So City are in 6th at the minute.
Yeah.
This is kind of the important thing, I suppose. City are in 6th. We've got 46 points. We played 28. Above us, everyone's played more games than us except Forest Green, who've played 28. So we're 3 games behind Cambridge, who are 6 points ahead of us. They're top. Newport and Forest Green play tonight.
It's all a bit because of all the kind of everyone's playing different amounts of games, and I know this happens to a certain extent every season, but never this much.
No.
So it's all going to look a bit muddled, isn't it? Until I don't know when it will catch up with itself. I mean, you got to think now. I mean, I know I said this last time, but you got to think now that hopefully the majority of the postponements are behind us.
Yeah. Yeah, you'd hope so now. I think we've got a bit of spring weather coming, haven't we? And
I mean, I'm actually reluctant to say it because I said that last week, and then we had another game called off. So
I don't know the answer to this, and I don't want to besmirch the good name of anyone. Do you think the players have been vaccinated?
Probably.
I think they probably have. I say that because like if you're at home, listener, throwing your arms up in horror, I just believe that there are private vaccines available that we're not really hearing about.
You reckon?
Yeah.
Wow, this is some tinfoil hat stuff.
No,
isn't
it's
it?
not. I just mean, like, I think there are industries that, they could say to the government, well, you can either give us 300 million to stop us, to keep us going when we can't play games, or give us the vaccines quickly.
I mean, maybe.
Anyway,
we'll probably never know.
We'll probably never know. Yeah. I just wonder. I think you're probably right. I think the weather scenario is now largely over. We shouldn't see any more frozen pitches. Obviously, hopefully there'll be less rain over the next fortnight, so we should see less waterlogged pitches. And there haven't been any COVID cancellations now in a few weeks, have there?
No.
So, fingers crossed, you're right. Now, what's interesting, I think, is who's above us, but we can talk about that in a second. Welcome back to the Big Bang Theory podcast. Cambridge United sit top of the league, but they're not in form. They have got a better goal difference than we have, but they keep losing games. I would think they are most likely to drop out of the autos at the minute. Forest Green and Cheltenham are ploughing quite a furrow.
Yeah, they seem to kind of just be there on the basis that they played more games, don't they, Cambridge, really? But, I mean, we see it change so quick. I mean, Cambridge have been up there the most of the season, but you look at someone like Carlisle, we've been up and down the table,
People were really worrying about Carlisle. They're now 3 points behind us with 2 games in hand over us, but they've dropped down to 10th, you see. So, yeah, it's interesting. It's interesting. Everyone's still got to play everyone else, of course, and that happened last night to some extent.
I think what it says basically is it's like, I don't know if we can tell much from the table at the moment. I mean, it's good that we're still in the mix, but other than that, what more?
I think that's what matters, isn't it? We're in the mix, and
I don't think we're not quite at the time yet. And I usually try my best to kind of not pay too much attention to what everyone else is doing until the last few weeks. I mean, sometimes it's hard not to look at everyone. You still look at the other results, but you've got to just kind of be, concentrate on yourself. And that sounds like a kind of manager thing to say, but it does.
Yeah.
It is the only thing that matters, really.
Yeah. So our next game's this Saturday. We've got Crawley Town away. John Yems, of course, and they've had some good games in the FA Cup this season, beating Leeds. Was it 3-0, I think, at home?
Really?
Yeah, it was quite the game. But they sit in 14th. They've not been especially good in the league. Curious thing about Crawley, of course, is Mark Wright is playing for them, not former England centre-back Mark Wright. I wish he was.
That's who I think of, the Liverpool guy.
Yeah, he'd be like 79 now. Yeah,
he looked about 79.
He did. He really looked like a reanimated corpse, didn't he?
He was really kind of one of those... It was like just before the time when, like, if you're a man in his 30s who's losing his hair, you have to shave your head. It was just before that came in.
Yeah.
So he's still got this kind of like comb over.
Yeah.
And didn't he? A bit of that kind of job.
You know when they find a corpse in Indiana Jones, but its hair's kept growing?
For that. Yeah.
Is that a bit harsh?
It's a little bit harsh.
Oh, right, sorry, Mark Wright.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's not that Mark Wright. It's an entirely different Mark Wright, formerly of the TV show, which I'm not particularly familiar with, but called The Only Way is Essex.
Yeah, perhaps some of our listeners will be au fait with this kind of thing.
So Mark Wright's on this reality TV show, right?
Yeah.
I think he had...
I just want to look what he looks like.
Yeah, I mean, he's a good-looking lad. He's the opposite of a reanimated corpse, basically. And he, I think, was a youth team player for a Premier League team, and then did other stuff. And then, this thing, Soccer Aid, which I can never bear to watch.
Yeah. I just found a picture of it with his top off, and it says, the headline is, Mark Wright shows off his stunning body transformation that took just 1 month.
Good.
He looks good.
Another realistic headline.
Not gonna lie.
So
yeah.
Mark, anyway, he played in Soccer Aid, which is like celebrities against retired footballers, yeah, or like they're all in together.
Yeah, that guy from Kasabian scored that goal in at that time, didn't he?
Craig David scored an absolute screamer with his head once.
Yeah.
And then Martin Tyler being like, Craig David!
Right.
Yeah. Anyway, so Mark Wright played in this and looked handy against, like Gordon Ramsay, Craig David.
Ollie Mers.
Edgar Davids, Ollie Mers. Yeah, Mark Wright looked quite good. And presumably in this reanimated some long-held desire in him to be a professional footballer. I think he's 33.
Right.
He's then managed to get a contract with Crawley.
But I was thinking, this is amazing until you told me, oh, and they're making a documentary about it. So it's like, oh, right, it's just for publicity then.
I think...
And Crawley, just they know they're not going to get relegated and they're not going to get promoted. So what's the harm in like getting a bunch of money out of bringing him on for a few minutes here and there? And having a lot of footage of him in the dressing room and sort of go like, yeah, mate. Or
yeah.
I don't
Well,
know
that was my
say.
assumption. I thought that's what they're going for. He'll just be on the bench and he'll carry the bucket on for the physio and all that kind of stuff. But he's been starting some games.
We started.
He started a game. He got taken off at half-time.
This sort of like kind of confirms something that I've always thought, which is I could probably play League Two.
Well, he didn't do very well, and he's been slated on the internet.
Oh, has he?
So
right.
if that's the
Maybe
kind
I
of
can't then.
that's the kind of stuff you want. So I'm just looking. He didn't play. He didn't play yesterday. I think his brother. I think this is what it's all about. Josh Wright is his brother who does play for them.
Okay.
I think that's right. And so there's some kind of arrangement with him. But yeah. So
I mean, it's just another one of those. I mean, it's just I've just got
he wasn't even on the
flashbacks
bench.
to
He wasn't even on the bench yesterday.
It's got flashbacks to Yuri Geller and Michael Jackson, and I'm just glad that we're not a laughing stock anymore because this is just embarrassing, if you ask me, for Crawley Town.
I feel very sorry for them. What I don't feel sorry for them about is
if there was one down here, the only way is Devon. A bunch of turnips in skinny jeans, like you know, boring on about nothing or whatever that happens on these TV programs, and then one of them is playing for Exeter City, and they're filming it, and it's going to be on, I don't know, whatever, Spotlight or Amazon Prime. Then I'd be thoroughly embarrassed, and I'd be, you know, lobbying to get rid of him.
Indeed. Of course, the irony is that's how Ryan Lowe got his job. He's just a celebrity star. Yeah, no, I agree with you entirely.
Ryan Lowe's a different mystery. But,
Here's what you don't feel sorry for Crawley about. They got Tom Nichols, who's playing really well, playing up front for them. So, you know,
I feel like we've come up against Nichols plenty, and he's never been.
No, he hasn't been as good, but he has been in some form. I think the form of his career so far before Christmas for Crawley. So there we are. I mean, again, it's the kind of game that we absolutely should be winning. Without Bowman, obviously it changes things a bit, like we've always said. But actually,
I do think it does, and I think last night showed us we've still got Williams to come back. We've still got Sam Stubbs to come in.
Yeah.
We've got and then Bowman and Hartridge will be back, whether he might feature, and then you got Bowman to come back too. I think it shows that we've got a good squad now, especially with Chuck Wilmot in there as well. If everyone's fit,
Chuck Wilmot, I thought his name was Gary.
Gary Wilmot back in there. One of the Wilmot brothers.
Okay.
And then I just think the squad is it's decent, isn't it? You know, because when you've got Lewis Page fit, then you've got Jack Sparks is suddenly an option to bring off the bench.
Yeah.
And I thought that him and Fisher both did really well when they came on last night in seeing that game out.
Yeah, they did. No, they did.
And just getting it into the corner, but not just that, but just coming on and being really lively, really enthusiastic, and just being like, I'm just going to cause some trouble.
Yeah.
For these defenders, I'm going to, and I think Fisher's a very honest player like that, and Jack Sparks is so keen to impress, and
Do you think we'll see Williams back? I mean, you got no way of knowing. Is there any sign we'll see him back anytime soon? Broken leg, right? Or a fracture in his leg?
Yeah, but apparently he's just walking around like nothing's happened.
Okay.
I think he's one of those ones where they call. I know it is technically a fracture in the leg, but maybe it's one of those ones that you probably had one and you didn't even know about it because it wasn't bad enough to even go to hospital for.
Yeah, okay.
I could be wrong. I'm not a doctor.
Well, if he's not in any kind of cast.
No, I don't think he is, and I think he's kind of due to start back training.
Okay.
Fairly soon. I think we will see him before the end of the season. Long way to go, isn't there? So,
yeah, there is a long way to go.
And I think maybe that could come at a brilliant time. Suddenly, that's pretty good. If we still can be in the same position, and then we've got Randall Williams coming back in.
Yeah.
And fair enough, before we got injured this season, he wasn't exactly in his richest vein of form.
But he's a nuisance, isn't he? If you're bringing him on and you're 1-0 up.
Oh, totally. And I think, you can look at kind of Caprice and Key on that in that kind of right wing back position there, and you think that's why competition for places is good. You've got both those players in great form because obviously their place in the side isn't a given.
Yeah.
And I think hopefully that'll work with maybe that if Seymour carries on doing well, then you see a really hungry Ryan Bowman again.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think it's good to have, and it's definitely not something we've always had by any means.
No.
And we're lucky to be able to do that, really. And the only reason we're able to do that is by having a good functioning academy.
Yeah, absolutely right. Here's a question for you: where does Sam Stubbs fit in?
I don't know. They're doing quite well at the moment, those two, aren't they?
They are.
Strangely. I mean, no, not strangely, really. Piers Sweeney's kind of like... He's always been a form player, hasn't he? He's always gone through patches of being really good for long periods of time. And then in the past, you've maybe had a big mistake or a kind of high-profile error, and then he'll, lose his confidence for a bit, and then you won't see the best of him for a while. It does seem to, that does seem to affect him, and I hope it doesn't, go like that. But maybe now we've got a bit of a safety net in that we've got Stubbs there, and that used to happen, to be fair, more to Sweeney when he was playing at right back, and he was the only right back at the club.
Yeah, it's very true. I mean, Stubbs obviously, I think it's 2.5-year contract, isn't it? And we know he's a quality player, so maybe he's the long term if we do manage to get promoted.
Maybe, yeah.
Or even if we don't, that's a very solid thing to
also
make a promotion push with.
I mean, on the bench last night, McArdle's back on there.
Ah.
So they've obviously managed to glue his knob back on. And he's...
You can get a special glue for that.
And he's back on the bench. He didn't come on, but...
Man.
It's good, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, it is good. I'd forgotten his injury, and now I'm just wincing at the thought of it. Yeah, okay. Well, that is the week to come. Exciting times, I think. I love when we get a bit of form going, because a bit like Sweeney, I suppose. We love a stat or two, don't we? About is that now 4 games unbeaten?
Something like that, yeah. Yeah, it's nice to go on a little bit of a run, and obviously we had the pitch. We haven't said anything about that pitch, have we? Not Newport. Who was it?
Grimsby.
Grimsby was cancelled at St James's Park on Saturday.
Yep.
And it looked like an absolute, you could see why, couldn't you, when you saw the images? It was just a kind of like a big marshland, basically.
Yeah.
But I don't know. It's a strange one because it rained a lot. But then, at 1:10, I walked down to the shop, which is right by St James's Park. It wasn't even raining. So it's sort of like, hang on, the match isn't being played, and it's not even raining. It just seems strange, and I don't know. Obviously that's because it's waterlogged. It's not to do with the fact that the rain's too heavy. I'm not that stupid, but and there's all these kind of reasons and kind of I don't know why that pitch can't drain or properly but I don't know. Is it a thing that we should be invested? This is a discussion that's being had. Maybe should we be getting a new pitch, or is it that simple?
There's some thought that it's all to do with the drainage, not just of the pitch, which we can do within our means, but the wider drains. So
okay. Yeah, right. So it's a bit more complex.
Right. And expensive.
It's not just getting a pitch. It's
no, and it's not. Right. It's not what we can do on our side of things. It's persuading the council.
Right. So they're never going to do that, are they? We have to wait till we move out to the Carpet Right Arena.
Yes, that's right.
Out on the, what's it called, bypass or motorway or whatever, in the Science Park. When we move to the stadium to the Science Park,
don't say it.
Then we'll have better drainage then.
Don't you think it'll be like Exeter City, who actually play in Bideford? You're like,
It won't be that bad, will it?
No, let's hope not. Let's hope
the
it doesn't
worst
happen.
we'll get is Exeter City, who play their games in Newcourt.
Yeah, man. Newport? No, Newcourt.
Have you heard of this place, Newcourt?
Yeah. Where IKEA is.
Is it?
Yeah.
Right, yeah, there you go then. We'll be next door to an IKEA.
We will. And the away fans will be like, it's good because we can go to the game and then we can buy a Billy bookcase.
Modern football, I tell you.
That is everything that's wrong. Okay, so that's the current state of affairs. We've had some correspondence. Thanks if you get in touch with us. We always appreciate it. You can always get in touch with us in all the normal ways, of course. We're on Twitter at BigBankPod. We're on Facebook, the Big Bang Theory podcast, and you can email us, bigbankpod@gmail.com. And Charlie has emailed us. He says this: do you think, Dan, that Randall Williams is guaranteed to go? And can we get promoted? Charlie says he can't do Wembley again. No, I feel the same as you, Charlie. I could not stomach Wembley again. Of course, this all ties in with Boris's announcement that football...
Well, you may well have to, I'm afraid.
Well, Charlie doesn't have to go. No one can make him.
I feel like, no, but I feel like that there will be that kind of like, the same as me. I don't want to go, but I will go.
Yes. So Boris has said, hasn't he, that people can go back to football from the 17th of May, something like that, which is no good for normal League 2 season. We finish on the 8th, but...
Just in time for the playoffs, isn't it?
Have you seen this, that the Premier League is trying to work out if they can get fans back in for it'll be their last game.
Right.
So it'll be like last game of the Premier League, playoffs, FA Cup final, and then the Euros and so on.
Right.
So,
I mean, that's if this all goes according to plan, isn't it? Which I wouldn't be getting my hopes up too high if I were any of you.
Salient advice from Dan there. No, I agree. What about Williams then? I don't know if he is guaranteed to go, because it depends what happens in the next 3 months with his injury, doesn't it? He hasn't been good.
No, I think he probably will go, because the other alternative is signing a new contract, and unless I think probably the only way he won't go is if we get promoted, and then there's a chance he'll stay.
Do you think that's true of Bowman as well?
Probably. It probably goes for quite a few of them. We know this is how it works at Exeter City. If someone plays well, they leave. That's just,
But I mean, do you think League One is enough?
And Collins,
Do you think League One is enough of a hold, enough of a positive to think, I'll do another year here?
I think it very much depends who's interested, doesn't it?
Of course, yeah.
If no one else is interested, I'm sure they'd all. And we got promoted, I'm sure they'd be happy to stay, because you get more money. They'll be playing in a higher league, But you do think probably if someone wants, although Randall Williams seems pretty picky, doesn't he?
Well, yeah.
Who was it he turned down
Hull.
before?
He turned down
Hull.
Hull.
Didn't want to go to Hull. I mean, who can blame him? But he didn't fancy that.
No.
So what if someone else who are kind of big club, but maybe it's a bit of a dump, and he goes, I'm not moving there.
Yeah, I mean, interesting. I mean, would he go to Sunderland? Because you think that's a massive club, and you do well there, and you're living the dream. But it's a long way away. It's basically the same area as Hull. That is very picky, isn't it?
Yeah.
Maybe the deal wasn't that good.
It might not have been to do with the town. We don't know. But
he doesn't like the colour of orange stripes. Anyway, we'll wait and see, won't we? I mean, I'm trying not to think about it, but I feel like this is very... I was fully set up for mid-table this year. I was fully
Well, me too, yeah. I mean, you can't really predict how a load of young players are going to settle into the side, can you? And it's been a nice surprise for the supporters.
Yeah, it has.
That they've all done so well, and that we're still in the mix. I think it's just life as a Exeter City fan. You just got to enjoy the good times when they're happening. Live in the moment,
Indeed.
Don't think about the future too much, because if you do, and you're imagining those kind of players in their kits, just don't imagine, just have blurred out faces because it won't be who you think it is.
Imagine where you stood, because that's easy to imagine. Don't worry about the players.
Yeah,
imagine
exactly.
Someone behind you annoying you with something stupid they're saying.
Yeah, because that ain't going away anytime soon.
We can't transfer him out.
Imagine looking at that scoreboard and going not working again.
Talking of bizarre disappointments, Dan. See Joel Randall's video on YouTube?
Ah, yeah, we nearly forgot. Yeah, I did see that. I know. They do these things, don't they, where they kind of ask players other questions. I think it's even more awkward over Zoom or whatever they're using than it normally is, and it's normally pretty bad. But the takeaway from this is one point, really.
I'm concerned for the lad.
Right, so he says...
He's a 21-year-old man.
Yeah, the question, actually, is what was the last film you saw?
Yes.
And his answer is The Greatest Showman. Fine. No, fine, if that's the last film you saw. That's the last film you saw.
I got alarm bells ringing.
He then adds himself, unprompted,
yes,
that is also his favourite film.
That he loves it.
Favourite.
The Greatest Showman.
I mean, almost 100 years of, Hollywood cinema.
Yep.
I think it's over 100 years since the first colour film was shown. And his favourite, he's had 20 odd years to watch films. Fair enough, he's still young, but I mean, but
I mean, a lot of good films have come out in the last 20 years.
Yeah.
You know,
The Greatest Showman.
The Greatest Showman. Don't limit yourself, Joel. Like, I wouldn't judge you if it was some, all barnstorming, guns blazing, car crash thing. I think, like, yeah, those kind of things are exciting. It's got The Rock in it. Yeah, exciting. Or if you've gone for some real art house thing about, the Cold War in Poland, I think, yeah, great. But no. He's gone for a biopic about the man who invented the circus.
Musical. But
Music.
nowadays, you've got, like, access to, like, thousands of films.
Yeah.
Just at the tips of your fingers. You could even watch it on your phone. When we were kids, you couldn't...
I remember trying really hard to watch that French film La Haine, about the kids in Paris.
Yeah.
I used to go down the video club down Cully every week asking him. First of all, he never got a clue what I was talking about, so I had to write it down. Nothing. So, sometimes I had to settle for watching, The Nutty Professor 2, The Clumps.
I'm not saying there isn't a place for watching, crap films.
Hold on, I'm talking about The Nutty Professor 2, The Clumps.
And Nutty Professor 2, The Clumps. But, there's also, I mean, I don't know, whatever.
By the way, that is the worst film I've ever seen.
Really?
Oh, it's appalling.
I think the worst film I've ever seen is Jurassic Park 3.
Oh, I never got that far.
The end of it is whoever it is, the kind of protagonist, is being chased by these velociraptors, and he remembers that in his bag he's got the voice box of a velociraptor, which he picked up earlier in the movie.
What, a literal voice box?
Literally, the voice box from one.
From his throat?
Yeah. And then he sort of like just blows into it like, and like sort of tells them to velociraptors to go away through and so they go, oh, right, okay. And then that's it, they leave him alone.
Sounds plausible.
Yeah.
I tell you, also, if we're on worst films, just my last one, for implausibility, it's when Schwarzenegger, I think it's called End of Days, takes on Satan.
Oh, yeah.
And wins.
Yeah, brilliant.
Yeah. So...
Better than Greatest Showman.
Yeah, all of those things are better than the...
I mean, have you seen it?
Yeah, I have seen it.
Right,
yeah.
okay, so at least one of us. I've kind of like, I haven't seen all of it, but I've kind of like seen enough.
It's one of those things where it's a bit like candy floss, right? So you're eating candy floss and you're like, this is the best thing I've ever had. And then afterwards, everything hurts, right? And you can't really see anymore.
It's been a long time since I've had any candy floss.
That's what it's like.
Okay, yeah.
Great Showman's like that. At the time, you're like blinded by the lights and the emotion of the key change. And then afterwards, you're like,
feel dirty.
Yeah, and what did I just watch? And someone asks you what's it about, and you're like, I've got no idea. But there was a bearded lady singing, So, and anyway, whatever. I'm just very surprised that Joel Randall's gone on record.
Yeah, he's got to be getting it for that, hasn't he?
Surely.
Who's in there? Like, surely
Jake Taylor.
Yes, some of the Sweeney must be. Then
Surely.
again, were they the ones that are trying to go to watch Craig David at this point? That's what
I mean, Wilmot, he's got the air of someone who knows a bit, right? Something better than that.
Yeah.
Come on.
McArdle?
Matt J. Oh, no, Matt J's got a grey house.
Like McArdle's probably going like, Citizen Kane? I don't know, like, someone, please, take him to task for that other than us.
Yeah.
And he hasn't listened to this, so he's never going to...
What's Josh Key watching when he sat on the toilet? We'll never know.
Key, I reckon he's got a good film or two in his library.
Yeah. Well, who knows? If you do know, if you've got any kind of info, unfortunately you can't do this anymore, can you? You can't look over Ryan Bowman's shoulder in Blockbuster and be like, oh, he's got the Nutty Professor 2 out again. You can't. That used to happen, didn't it? Of course, Steve Flack famously seen coming out of an adult video shop.
I mean, that was literally by me.
Yeah,
so,
I know. That's what I mean. Like,
yeah.
This information is available.
That's not.
But film information isn't available to us anymore.
No. So come on, mate.
Randall could have said literally anything. La Dolce Vita.
Well, the other thing, no one asked him what his favourite film was.
Joel, you've done yourself up like a kipper there.
Yeah.
Anyway, that is quite enough of that. We'll be back again next week, of course, with all the hot takes.
There's 2 games this week again, isn't there? So there's Crawley and then...
Is it Grimsby?
No, that one's not rescheduled yet, is it?
Oh, no, it's Orient. No, it's not. Sorry, that's later. Crawley, then Walsall on the Tuesday, and then Orient the following Saturday. So it's chock-a-block. We've got Saturday, Tuesday, Saturday through to the 13th of March. March is another bumper month with 2, 4, 6, 7 games in it.
Well, at least, because we still have to reschedule this one from Saturday, don't we?
Yeah.
And I think that was proving pretty difficult to find any free dates, because we've got to think, when have we got a free day?
Oh, hold on.
And when have they got a free day?
Was that Grimsby?
Yeah.
Oh, it's in for the 27th of April.
Okay, so right at the end.
Tuesday, yeah.
All right, okay.
Well, anyway, thanks for listening, as always. And that's about all we've got to say. My name's John. I've been here with my friend and colleague Dan.
Cheers.
See you soon.